Everyone. Trading is closed on April 11th, 2022. Let's start with our disclaimer. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, April 12th. Remember, I can be wrong. Any trade you make should be at your own risk. We always review our calls first. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is here. Typically, it's a rally day. Failure is a straight line drop, and that's your straight line drop. When you get this pattern, usually it leads to more weakness. Doesn't mean we have to start lower tomorrow, but that shouldn't be the end of the drop, regardless of how high we go, if we go higher at all. We had a target, 45.14.27. I said it might not fail, it might not work, it might fail, because Friday's pattern was so weak. It did fail, but we do get to cross one of our lower targets, 44.65.11, off the list. This is just a reminder of what we said. As long as the high held, we look for lower prices. Today, MEJT gave an ultimate sell signal early on. That certainly worked. So all these squiggles would retrace, and they already have. Well, this is pretty negative stuff. Let's go over how negative. Here was our long-term count. I'm going to assume that wave gray B ended here and not here. I'm not crossing this off because just because I'm assuming it, that doesn't make it right. But if that is correct, and if wave C is a Fibonacci relative of wave A, we're going to bottom right around our 3909.32 target, which also was a fib target of the prior consolidation. Doesn't mean it's the only number that works. It's one of them. We're now under the 200-day moving average. We're under the 50-day moving average. A lot of institutions use this as a dividing line between bearish and bullish markets. So I think there'll be a lot of impetus to sell. It means this rally wasn't really the real thing. Let's focus in on what's happened and what I'm calling wave gray C. You can count a 5-wave pattern here. Here's an ABC with C equal to A. We don't know if that's the right count, but if it is the right count, we're in a third wave impulse down with the potential to take us much lower than we are now. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high we could gap down. Today's normally bullish pattern was bearish. Typically, this leads to further declines. We've now fallen under the 250-day moving averages, and the wave count's compatible with us being in a wave 3 down. We still have the FOMC whipsaw target from March, and if that plays out, which it doesn't have to, but usually will, we should trade under 4,000 before this decline's over. And nothing says we have to get a collapse into the early part of next week, but if we do, could complete the ABC pattern we began late last year. There is a spiral calendar date of April 18th, and if we're sharply lower, then, give or take a few days, could mark the year's low. At this point, that's just a guess. Now, for people who aren't familiar with Christopher Carlin's work, he found there was a calendar relationship between panics in the past and future panics. And he calculates a number of dates from the low we had on the 24th of August, and the 20th one of those dates comes up a week from today. Now, obviously, every one of these numbers isn't going to be a panic low. It's not a prediction that there is going to be a panic low on the 18th. But if there is a panic low on the 18th, and give or take a few days, there's a very good likelihood it marks a very tradable low. Now, I don't like calling for 10% drops in a week. I think the odds are against you. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if it happens, if we drop under 4,000, preferably the 3909, pretty fast, which I think might be a long shot, but isn't impossible. If that happens, we could see a low as early as next week, because April's normally a bullish month, and most of the rally comes after the date for filing income taxes. Why that's true, I don't know. So as far as tomorrow is concerned, I don't think this drops over. Even if we get a rally first, we should be in a third wave down. I think it has a ways to go. I think I'm not calling for a crash, but I'm not ruling it out. And if we get one, there could be a low as early as next week under 4,000. I'm just saying it's possible. I'm just going to be prepared for it if it happens. I trade a day at a time, and for tomorrow I think we'll trade lower even if we don't close lower. And that's today's call.